Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hollywood Morgue podcast. I know it's been a while. I haven't been doing these podcasts as consistent as I would like to. Just a lot of stuff came up, having to move, being homeless, that sort of thing. We'll talk about that some other time. But today we have a special guest. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, if they so please. Introduce yourself.
Uh, I'm Chandler.
Nice to meet you, Chandler. What do you do, or where do you post anything? What do you post
I just post a bunch of random stuff, really.
on Instagram?
Uh huh.
I'll put that link in the description on here. What do you post? What you just post a bunch of stuff about movies. If you go through that, you'll see a lot of posts about Clerks. I know you're a big fan of like the Clerks, those Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah.
I know you're a fan of like the kind of, I don't know, just the weird movies, like all the streaming stuff, like all the stuff you go to, like these streaming movies or these streaming websites, and you see like, oh, that's a movie I've never heard before. I'm sure nobody has seen. Let's watch that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna let you take um, take charge, and we'll just talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's not really any point to this, just whatever you want to start off with.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to know your opinion on Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Well, Barbie. I would say I was more excited to see Barbie because of just like we had talked about messaging each other on Instagram. We had talked about how Wes Anderson, how his movies are very vibrant and there's a lot of style over substance in a lot of ways. And you just watched that new movie, Asteroid City, and we kind of talked about that. Um,
Right.
and I think I like the style they're going for. I like the pastels, the bright colors, and the casting. It seems all around has been great. Margot Robbie. I've heard people. I think even Cody Leach. I watched his review on it, and he said he couldn't see anybody else as the character of Barbie than Margot Robbie. So I would say I was more excited to see that, and Ryan Gosling, seeing him do a movie, and just the little clips I saw of him. Um, like there's a scene where he's in a doctor's office, and it it's very much Hollywood writing, but it's just so funny because he delivers it so well. Um, but I would say I was more excited to see that movie. But I was intrigued to see Oppenheimer because not only was it directed by Christopher Nolan, who is one of the most prolific, you know, directors now. The way he likes to shoot things, and his filmography and everything, being like with the Dark Knight movies and Tenet movies, like Inception and stuff like that. Seeing him take on a biopic, that's not have to do with time travel and all bunch of fake stuff. Is to do with real life events. Seeing his take on that, it was sort of intriguing. And so I would say I was excited to see both, but more excited to see uh, Barbie. What about you?
Well, my opinions on Barbie are a little bit negative. So I'm probably not going to go into that when it comes to Barbie.
Just, just what do you mean negative? Just what, like content wise, or just
Ye- Yeah. I've watched. Uh, I think I avoided Cody Leach's review of it, uh, but I watched a couple other reviews of it, and
right?
those specific people were trashing it. And
Right. I haven't watched Chris Stuckman. I know the Flick Pick. He put up a little short little video of it, but I haven't watched his full review of it yet, but I know I watched Cody Leach's review on Oppenheimer and Barbie, and he's just one of those people who, I mean, he can appreciate the spectacle of like movies like Oppenheimer, but it's you know it's not his thing. Now, me, like we both like Quentin Tarantino. I mean, we both talked about our appreciation for his movies and movies like The Hateful Eight, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Django, and stuff like that. And like I could sit through a 6 hour Tarantino movie because there's so much information, there's so much going on, even though there's nothing going on in those movies. And I like movies that have a lot of information to give you and are very well written, like biopics, stuff like Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody are movies that are biopic wise that I find interesting. Um, those are just some modern ones um, that I find the learning about the people or like who these people could be or were in their private lives instead of what we see on TV and on screen. Although Oppenheimer's not really like a celebrity in a sense, but he is somebody very influential and very important to modern history, really, as we know it. So, I mean,
Yeah, I agree
if you're
with you
in,
on.
if you're into that kind of stuff, I mean, it works for you. But you know, for somebody like him who likes the more action heavy stuff, who likes that 90 minute, you'll go watch Die Hard, and it's like a 90 minute shootout fest, but it's a fun, entertaining movie. I think that's more his speed. Um, like he talks about a lot of these older classic horror movies and stuff, like The
Mhm.
Exorcist, and he said that he doesn't really like The Exorcist as much as somebody who watched it back then. It's just not his thing. But sorry.
You're talking about Cody Leach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. But I'm guessing you were because seeing the post on there, you're more excited to see Oppenheimer. Where are you more excited to watch to see that movie?
Uh, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and say I'm not that big a fan of Christopher Nolan. Uh, and I think the only two movies that I've seen of his that I actually enjoyed are The Dark Knight and Interstellar. And something about it being 3 hours long and being about the Manhattan Project and having Robert Downey Jr. in it. Just all these different things are more intriguing to me than a movie about a Barbie doll going to the real world to do whatever it is that she's doing.
Right. I can see that. I think um, uh, I guess it all depends on how like me. I never played with like I like toys. Like I know that sounds weird, but I like toy like Funko Pops. I collect some Funko Pops, and I like little action figures and stuff like that. So I was a kid. I had I'd go play outside, and I had toys. So watching a movie, not really so much the animated stuff, but seeing an actress that I like Margot Robbie. Obviously she's great playing. Despite if you might like her or not, I think she's good in the movies like The Wolf of Wall Street. She plays Harley Quinn, obviously in the Suicide Squad movies,
Hmm.
and she's just fun. She's good looking. She's energetic, and I think she's a fun, leading actress. And she's done other movies where she's done more dramatic stuff. Movies like I Tanya, where she plays, a real person in that one. Um, but I think it's more appealing to me because I like, those kind of silly comedies. Like, where can they take this? Not always, um, where it not always does it work. I guess an example to where it didn't work for people. That new Tom and Jerry movie that came out like 2 years ago,
Hmm.
2 or 3 years ago. Like you take the Tom and Jerry, you know, caricatures and you put them in the real world, it doesn't really have any effect on the plot. And it's just, let's do a Roger Rabbit kind of thing, but without any of the coolness of Roger Rabbit.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does. Yeah.
And it's not as impressive because it's all CGI. There's no like somebody on set with a bunny cut out, and there's nothing. It's all post production magic.
Right.
Which I mean,
Yeah.
technically they did that in the original one or in the original that movie, but I don't know. But I think with Margot Robbie, leading the movie, and Ryan Gosling, like Ryan Gosling. Have you ever seen The Nice Guys?
Yes.
What do you think of that movie?
Well, it's been a little while since I've seen it. Hold on one second.
See, I always thought that movie was like an underrated comedy. Like Russell Crowe is more the straight man, and Ryan Gosling, despite how tough he wants to be, he likes to try to pretend he is in that movie. He's not a tough guy at all. He's kind of a bumbling idiot, but he's so funny, and he's just fun to watch in that movie. And I think that's what with his acting style, we know he can be the tough badass character, but watching him be like the funny sidekick to the main character, I mean, it worked well for in the Nice Guys, and I think it worked well here from just what I've seen.
Right.
But that's kind of the comparison I drew from just a little bit of clips that I saw with him in the movie.
Well, since you were explaining, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, do you think people are more uh likely to see Barbie because it has Margot Robbie in it, and they're not as familiar with Cillian Murphy, and that's why less people are seeing Oppenheimer?
Well, I think Barbie has more of a commercial appeal, and I know that sounds weird because you have Christopher Nolan, you have Robert Downey Jr., Christopher Nolan, Cillian Murphy, and there's a whole slew of other actors that I'm not naming that's going to be in that movie. Like that's a stacked cast, but it's
Mm.
about it takes place in the 1940s. Part of the movie's in black and white, and it has to do with something that killed like millions and millions of people. Versus, oh, look at Barbie, it's bright pink and colorful with a hot chick as the main lead. Oh, let's go take the kids to go see that. You're not going to go take your 7-year-old, your 8-year-olds to go see Oppenheimer. I mean, if you do, then that's good on you. But um, I think Barbie has more commercial appeal and meme. I guess those two movies have been memed quite a bit over the last like year or so. But um, it has more commercial appeal for people. It's like, do I want to sit in the movie and for a long time? Do I want to sit in the movie for 3 hours and watch the historical breakdown of the Manhattan Project, or do I want to laugh and somewhat or could possibly enjoy myself more in a movie I'm going to be spending $87 to go to the movie theater nowadays? You know what I'm saying? So I
Right.
think it's all about it's all about who you're taking. Me, if I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to go with Oppenheimer to go see in the theater because I think that's a movie that deserves to be seen in the theater. Barbie, I'll eventually buy it on Blu-ray, and I'll watch it at home. But if you want to see spectacle, Oppenheimer is the way to go. But if you want to entertain somebody for 2 hours, your kids, your the family, Barbie's the way to go.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Hmm.
Is there any other movies that you've heard in the lineup of the year that they're going to be releasing that you're kind of excited for? Or?
Uh, well, I'm excited for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh yeah, Martin Scorsese, which is going to be regulated to Netflix, which is terrible, and I hate the fact that they're doing that. I believe right, it's Netflix, right?
Wait, it's Apple TV.
Apple TV.
Yeah.
Um, well, either way, a movie that's It's like, oh, let's not take this Martin Scorsese movie. Now that COVID's over, they don't have to worry about the crowd's going to go see it. But his new movie, let's regulate it to streaming like they did with The Irishman,
Right.
which sucks. The Irishman was good. It's long. Like, everybody's so accustomed to streaming everything nowadays. And they were like, oh, I don't want to go sit in a movie theater for that long. I'll just watch it at home. And I guess smart on him for doing that. But it's like, I want to go see the new. It's like, I'm going to go see a Quentin Tarantino movie. I'm not going to wait till it comes out on Netflix to go see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this new movie that's going to be coming out. I forget what it's called. But it's his last one, apparently. That's going to be, you know, that's going to come out in theaters. It's one of those movies you want to go see in theaters. Like these directors, like these legacy directors, like Christopher Nolan, like his movies, you go see those in theaters. Tarantino, theaters. You watch the Barbie movie, watch it at home, or you watch Guy Ritchie. I went and saw the Gentleman in theaters, and that was really good to watch. Or like something like Mission Impossible. Um, but I think it sucks that it's been regulated to Apple TV, especially because not everybody has Apple TV. I mean, some people do, but like if I'm gonna be like, I want to see the new movie, oh, I gotta buy a subscription to something I don't really want.
Right.
Like most people have like HBO Max or Netflix. I'm surprised he didn't get it on Netflix because that's what he had The Irishman on.
Well, I I think what I heard is that he couldn't find the right I don't know what the word is, but he couldn't find the right funding or something when it came to Netflix or any other streaming service, so his only option was Apple TV. But I believe that it's actually going to have a limited time run in the theater.
Yeah. Um, well, I think all these, well, even all the streaming stuff, I think it has limited time in theaters. That movie Skin that was popular for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
That had limited time in theaters, and that's a movie about nothing.
And
But
look how much money it made.
well, it was made for like I think less than $20,000.
Right.
I mean, it was probably made for less than that. I think they inflated that budget. I'm pretty sure I'm sure if you took your cell phone and you got your brother and one of his friends, you probably could have made
Uh-huh.
that same movie with your iPhone and a bag of chips and spent like $100 on nothing and made a better movie. I mean, not to shit on the guy or anything, but I, it's like the Blair Witch Project. It's like the Blair Witch Project's one of the most highly profitable movies of all time. It's like, well, yeah, if the movie's made for $1.50, I mean, yeah, if you make $1 billion, if you make $1 million on $1.50 budget, yeah, it's gonna be the highest grossing movie of all time, or the highest whatever movie. It's like, yeah. Um, I mean, hopefully the guy will make something that's actually watchable. But I'm not gonna watch it. But just what I've seen, like just the clips of it, I understand it's setting up the atmosphere and like
Mm.
stuff like Hereditary. If you watch the backgrounds and you watch like just the little stuff that happens in the shadows, that's scary. It's like, yeah, I guess that's effective, but your movie is you know made made to look like it's made to look bad, and it is bad. There's no plot really to it. I don't think people are gonna sit like I'll maybe watch like a 15-minute short of that, but I'm not gonna watch a hour and a half, almost 2 hour movie of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Um. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Um. I actually attempted to watch it whenever it first released on streaming, and I think I only got about 20 or 25 minutes into it because there was nothing appealing to me about just different shots of a house in the dark.
Right.
but I ended up trying to use that as inspiration.
And I think, well, I think every horror movie like that, like even though it's the product is not very well received or well done, there's, what do you call it? Inspiration. There's inspiration being taken from that. Um, you know, what was, I forget what the movie. Let me see if I can find it. It's like Eyes Man. Like, hold on, maybe why take this thing. Like, it was like this cool um trailer that I watched. Well, I went to go see Infinity Pool in the theaters for my birthday, and it was like this movie. It looks like it was shot. It looks like it was shot in the '70s, but it's it's a modern movie. But it was probably like shot on um, you know 8 millimeter or 16 millimeter, like old like film, and it looks all grainy and everything. But it's a movie that actually, they're like going to different locations, and there's actors, and it's not just shots of a doorway for 10 minutes. There's
Right,
actually
right.
some substance to it, and it looked really. I'm gonna send you the trailer if I can find it. I'll find it. I'll see if I can find it later, and I'll send it to you. But it looked really cool. That's a way to use like that old grainy. Like it looked like something. I'm telling you, it looked like something that was made out of like the '70s, and they found it, and they decided to bring it into theaters. I think that should be coming out sometime at the end of the year this year. Um, but yeah, I think I guess it would work out because if you don't want to go see a movie that's 3 hours long and you have all the streaming capabilities, going to see the movie and going to see the movie on streaming would be easier for you. But I think a director such as that, being only limited or being just thrown to just stuck on a streaming platform, I just think it's an insult to the his legacy, in my opinion.
Right. I
But
mean, that's like Warner Brothers putting Tenet on HBO Max the same day it was released, and that's the reason why Christopher Nolan parted ways with them.
well, it's the same thing they did with Black Widow. That's what happened. Scarlett Johansson, she got in an art or she got in a legal battle with that movie. She's like, "You're gonna get a portion of the box office," and then they released it the same day on HBO Max, or not HBO Max, Disney Plus,
Hmm.
and the box office wasn't good. So she got kind of fucked on that deal because they released it the same day. It's like, why would we go to the movie theater? We can watch it at home, especially when it
Right.
comes out on the same day. And I think that's crappy too, because then they're like, oh, it wasn't a box office hit. Well, it's not going to be a hit when everybody's like, I'd rather watch the movie for free at home than go to theaters and see it opening weekend, because there's no excitement built up for it. So
I
yeah,
will
I think
say,
that's great.
right.
Sorry, go ahead.
I will say, Black Widow was a little bit generic.
Right, but we're gonna give you, if you're an actor, actress, and we're gonna cut your pay for the movie, but we're gonna give you a part of the box office. Well, it's like, oh, well, these movies make $100 million, per film. Well, it's like, yeah, the box office is gonna be good. When you cut that, your pay or what you're supposed to get for the movie in like half, or not even that, it's sort of upsetting. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, but yeah, and like movies like Oppenheimer, like if I had an IMAX theater, I think that'd probably be the best. Uh, I think that would be the best way to actually watch the movie with a big screen like that.
Mhm.
Or if could you imagine watching it in a 4D theater?
I've never been in a 4D theater.
Where they spray like if they'll play like clips of stuff like in the water, Like they'll have a whale come out, then they'll shoot water on like they'll shoot water on you, or like they'll have wind blow at your feet and it'll make you jump, and they'll have the chairs shake and everything like that. But imagine a movie like Oppenheimer with the like when the bomb starts to go off and your chairs just start shaking, and they start shooting, spraying smoke in there. And I think that would be a fun experience. But I think I I, I don't know if I'd sit through 3 hours of that.
I don't know if I'd sit through 3 hours of that either, but it does sound better than Barbie.
But yeah, I think of some other ones. Some other ones I found out about. Apparently, there's making a prequel to Pet Cemetery called Pet Cemetery Bloodlines. It's going to follow the Judd Crandall character and
Uh-huh.
I'm guessing his origin. Um, the stuff we didn't see in the remake. I don't know if it's going to be following the same remake, Judd, or if it's going to be like we're going to go back to we're going to go back to the original character, Fred Gwynn, Judd Crandall. I would imagine it's going to be the what's his name? I forgot his name. John Lithgow. He played Judd Crandall in the remake of Pet Cemetery.
Right.
Which you said you apparently we were talking about that, and you told me that you've never seen the original Pet Cemetery.
Yeah, I've seen clips of the original, and I know that Fred Gwynn's in there. I just haven't seen the entire
Right.
film.
Yeah, no, that movie is it's much creepier than the remake. Have you seen the remake or
I haven't. I've kind of I kind of avoid Stephen King remakes that like that. Um, so most of the Stephen King remakes aren't very good.
right? I mean, yeah, I would say the only remake. Oh, it's not really a remake, but the first part of the um, remake, the one that came
Mm.
out in 2017,
Uh-huh.
that was good. Like if the movie ended there and we never got the adult portion of the story, I would have been fine with that. But then they came out with the adult portion a couple years later, and it just I don't know what the deal was with that, but it wasn't great at all. Like it was shockingly bad.
I can
Um,
agree. I can agree with you on that one for sure.
and I have all three of them. I know that sounds stupid, but I have all three of those movies because I'm a bit of a completionist when it comes to that. And I mean, if you have it chapter one, you got to have it chapter two to kind of complete that. But I think the 1990 it still stands. Did you? I don't know if you ever heard of, but did you ever watch or hear of the miniseries they did of The Shining back in like the early 90s?
Yeah, that's the attempt that Stephen King made, and it's not even close to Kubrick's version.
Well, yeah, he's trying to make his version. He's not trying to make Kubrick version because apparently he didn't like that version. It's like, oh, it's
Uh-huh.
good. This is a good movie adaptation of my book. Oh, that can't do. We got to make it straight to TV, and we got to have the garbageous, just worst fucking effects ever. We got to put all that in there, and yeah, let's do a bunch of weird CGI, and yeah, let's not make it put any effort whatsoever. Like, you ever seen the Langoliers? Or heard of the Langoliers?
Is that a Stephen King movie?
Yeah, it's a miniseries. It was written to
I assume it's bad, right?
it. Well, uh, let me see if I can find a picture of the Langoliers balls. Yeah, it's pretty weird.
I
He'll
know that
he'll
they're.
say the miniseries are better. Like he was in. It's funny he wasn't in the first part. Do what? Do what? Let's see if I can. Can you see those?
Yes, I can. I actually have seen images of those. And what's the purpose of that?
Hello. But yeah, those are the oops, why did that? Those are the monsters from that movie. Um, yeah, it's pretty bad. I think for like there's some parts of it that are fine, but I think it has a bad reputation.
Right.
But the 1990 miniseries they did of The Shining wasn't very good. Um, Sleepwalkers, that's another one of those movies that's kind of like so bad it's good.
Yeah,
You ever heard of that one?
I've seen Chris Stuckman review that.
Oh yeah. Um, yeah. Oh, you should watch the Nostalgia Critic. Do you watch him any?
Who?
Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic.
Yeah. Of course.
Um, he he reviewed the movie and it's like there's nothing interesting happening, and then the guy turns into the cat dog
Right. He
creature.
morphs into it or whatever.
Yeah. But Doctor Sleep, that's another Stephen King adaptation that I don't know
Yeah.
if people had any real faith or what it was going to be going into it. Um, but I remember people they really liked that one going coming out of the movie, and it made me kind of want to check it out. Um,
Well, I think that The Shining didn't need a sequel, to be honest.
no, it didn't need a sequel, um, but it, I don't know. Well, we really, in reality, we didn't. The Kubrick version isn't the actual version of like the book, and they
Oh, I
changed a whole
know.
bunch of stuff, which is why Stephen King didn't like it very much. Um, but with
Well,
the with Doctor Sleep, when you have a good version like the Stanley Kubrick version, and then you have a sequel that's just as good as that. I mean, I can't complain. Like it'd be different if they made the sequel or they remade the Shining altogether as a movie again,
mhm.
and then it wasn't good or it was bad. But the Doctor Sleep apparently, according to fans of the book and of the movie, that it's a good follow up um, to the movie to The Shining while respecting the books and the film from 1980. So, which I think is good.
Okay. What's crazy is that, Stephen King didn't like Kubrick's version, but he attempted to make the miniseries in 1990, like you said, uh, and then he wrote the sequel to The Shining, Doctor Sleep, and then they made a movie of it. But that movie is a sequel to the version that Stephen King doesn't like.
Right, which I say it's kind of funny, but I think what's his name? I think Stephen King appreciated Doctor Sleep more was because they had more stuff from the book in
Right.
that movie, and they didn't change a bunch of stuff for no reason, like Kubrick did. And you can't have Doctor like you can't make a sequel to a movie and then not change everything back to what it was originally intended. You know, um, you know that would be like that'd be like watching Constantine, that Keanu Reeves Constantine movie, and him
Yeah.
have dark hair, and then going to another movie, and we're picking up right where we left off, or we're gonna show flashbacks of Constantine, and he has blonde hair. It's like why you're retroactively changing shit that didn't matter.
Hmm.
Okay, he's blonde. He's not blonde. Who fucking cares? It's a good movie. I mean, despite what you might think of the movie, but if you've seen it, but it's a fun like demon possession like good versus evil. Um, the guy who plays I forgot his name, Peter Stormare. He's not Russian. I think he's from the United States, but he plays a lot of Russian characters. He plays like the devil in it, and he's fantastic. Um, yeah, they people got mad. They didn't like that movie because he was blonde, or he wasn't blonde. He was, dark hair, and it's like, really, does it matter? You know, um, what's it called? That'd be like that's like people getting mad about the Ariel and the Little Mermaid being black. Like I, I didn't care about it. I know that's kind of a, what do you call it, controversial topic to bring up with that
Uh-huh.
whole movie. But me, honestly, I didn't care that they changed the race of the character. If they would have done that like 10 years ago, I would have been like, okay, cool, that's cool, something different, you know. But now with everything being so politicized and them changing that, it was just adding fuel to the fire for a lot of these people who like to, immediately, you know, shit on everything that's considered woke. Like, I still haven't watched the movie. I don't care to. They if it's anything like the Mulan remake, then I'll pass. I don't know if you ever watched the Mulan remake. Have you?
No,
The,
I
the
don't. I do not intend on watching the Milan remake.
or the Little Mermaid.
No, not that either.
Yeah. No, they Mulan. They took out Mushu, I believe, and they took out all the music. Like, there's no, musical aspect to the movie. Which, I mean, there's one good song, and I mean, there's some other ones in it, but they're the most popular song of that movie. They they don't even attempt, or they didn't even attempt to make it, you know, a Disney a live action reimagining. It's like, we're gonna make Mulan serious. It's like, okay, you want to make a serious martial arts, an Asian martial arts movie? Make something else. Don't call it Mulan, because when there's you have a property like that, it's gonna come with its, oh, we're gonna see, Be a Man. They're gonna do the musical thing like they did with that'll be like if they had Aladdin, the live action Aladdin movie, and they didn't have any of the music. It was just a straightforward, you know, drama, you know, romance drama.
Right.
It would just be weird. Now they kept the music in this new movie, but I don't know. Melissa McCarthy as Ursula. Yeah, I think it should have been Kathy Bates.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, that would be. I mean, she's older. Melissa McCarthy is, I don't know, like 40 or 50. I don't know how old she is, but she's fine, I guess. But Kathy Bates actually has like theater and like Broadway experience. I'm pretty sure, So you
Hmm.
get her doing like Poor Unfortunate Souls, and music and stuff like that. She has a lot of charisma, and she's a fun, entertaining actress. But it's like, no, let's get Melissa McCarthy. I think the movie was directed by Paul Feige in parts of it. I don't know if can you hear the sirens?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's you should have heard. I'll bring this up. I was laying in bed 2 days ago, and I woke up, and my neighbors were getting in an argument. They were walking outside, slamming doors and stuff like that, and we're screaming and yelling at each other. And they had the police show up, and I think they just de-escalated it. I don't think they took anybody away, but yeah, it's like if you. I was asleep the whole night, so I never really went to sleep, but I was laying in bed, all ears, screaming at each other.
Right. Um, I find it funny how it. You said it seemed like some of the scenes in Little Mermaid were filmed by Paul Feige.
Yeah.
Are
Well,
you
yeah,
saying that just because?
Paul Feige, he's directed a lot of Melissa McCarthy's those comedies that she's in, movies like The Heat. He directed
Hmm.
like the Ghostbusters 2016.
Yeah, I
He
know.
directed that, and he's directed a whole bunch of like her comedy movies. So I think for just those scenes he directed, because I mean she's not very funny. Like there's some parts in like movies like The Heat where she's, she kind of gets a chuckle out of me. But if you're not into her comedy, like kind of all full send, if you like her as a comedian, then I think you're gonna have a tough time with those type of movies.
Yeah, no, I do not like her as a comedian. I don't like Kate McKinnon.
Kate McKinnon's fine on SNL.
Been and I feel like her comedy is boring.
You know, Kate McKinnon, she's funnier on Saturday Night Live than she is in a lot of these movies. I think the problem with a lot of these directors is they want to give her, time to improv.
Hello.
And she's in Barbie, by the way, Kate McKinnon, and it. I want to like her, but somebody, I think it was the Flick Pick, John Flickinger. I think he pointed out that Kate McKinnon, she's doing her Hillary Clinton impression the whole time when she's doing the Ghostbusters 2016. Like she
Right.
was doing her Hillary Clinton impersonation. So I think she leans been like, I'm awkward. You see how awkward I am, and she can't
Mm-hmm.
just like be funny, and let it come naturally. Like Chevy Chase, like although Chevy Chase, a lot of his stuff is calculated, but it feels so random when you're the audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like movies like Fletch and like Christmas Vacation, or not
Right.
Christmas Vacation. Well, Christmas Vacation too. Well, I mean like the regular Vacation and stuff like that, and Caddyshack. Like a lot of that stuff is ad libbed, but he makes it so seamless. He makes it so seamless, and it's in the moment. It's not like, you see, I'm gonna wink to the camera every 5 seconds because look how funny I am. I'm a strong, independent woman, lesbian, trans person. You know what I'm saying? So I I want to like her, but I'm just like, fuck, you could be better. And that's not because
Yeah.
I'm a sexist, awful man. I mean, I'm sexist, but that has nothing to do with my dislike for Kate McKinnon. So, but
Right.
I'm just kidding. But um, yeah, is there any what other movies are you looking at checking out this year? I don't know what else coming out though. That's the bad thing. Mission Impossible already came out. I was
Mm-hmm.
excited to kind of go in to see that, but it's just hard for me to go see movies or wanting to check out. I guess then go to the movies. But that was one that I wanted to check out was Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. Did you ever watch Dial of Destiny?
No.
Are you gonna watch Dial of Destiny
I'll
when
watch
it
Dial
comes
of
out?
Destiny when it's on Disney Plus.
Yep. I think
and
that's
I
everybody
don't.
else's reaction to that movie.
Right. I'm not saying I'm gonna get Disney Plus. I'm saying I got my own way of watching it whenever it is on Disney Plus.
When it becomes free um
Yeah.
to pirate. Just kidding.
Exactly.
Don't pirate movies. Pirate movies. Um, no, I'm being honest. I'm being honest. That's how I tried to watch Dune.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to watch the Dune movie from the new one that came out a couple years ago.
Uh-huh.
Apparently, that is that coming out this year or is that coming out next year?
What, Doom Part 2?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's this year.
this year. That's gonna have Elvis in it. He's gonna be in that movie. Old
Ah, Austin
Austin
Butler.
Butler. Yep, he's supposed to be in the movie. He's gonna be playing Sting. Did you ever watch the original one? The original
Uh,
Dune?
from David Lynch, no.
No. Sting, the singer from. He plays a character, and I forgot the name of it, but he's going to be playing that character in the sequel to Dune.
Right.
Um, trying to think. I got about halfway through that movie, the
Mhm.
remake of Dune, and I couldn't really get through it. I don't know if it's just so long, but I just wasn't invested at all.
Right. I uh I attempted to watch it and I didn't even get halfway through it. Like I didn't even reach 30 minutes. I probably got 5 minutes into it.
Well, if you didn't even get 30 minutes, you didn't even get a quarter way through that movie because it's like almost 3 hours long.
And yet somehow I can sit through The Irishman at least 2 or 3 times in one day.
Yeah. Well, the Hateful Eight. I was watching a short um, on the Hateful Eight on my YouTube, scrolling through YouTube, and there was a little short, and the short was 18 minutes long, which is crazy because they only go like 60 seconds. So,
Right.
um, but that movie, there's so little, but yet so much dialogue that flows through that movie, and it makes it feel shorter. If you like that type of stuff,
Oh, I've
like
seen The
once
Hateful. Huh,
like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I
right.
could sit through that. I could sit through that movie a couple of times and still enjoy it. Not feel bored watching it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've seen The Hateful Eight at least 7 times, and I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with my dad in the theater, which was probably the worst choice I've ever made
Why?
because
Because he was like, I'm bored.
well, it's not that he was bored. He just didn't understand my fascination with Tarantino. He didn't even understand why I wanted to see it in the first place or anything. Uh, he didn't even understand or know the plot of the movie before we walked into it.
Right. Which, granted, it does blindside you at the end. What I thought it was going to do when I went and saw the movie, I thought it was going to be kind of, obviously there's some fabrication in there because they're putting fake actors and to intertwine with some real actors, like they have
Mm,
Steve McQueen and Sharon Tate and Roman Polanski and Charles Manson. Those are all real people, and then you mix in
right.
Cliff Booth and um,
Rick Dalton.
Rick Dalton. That's what I was trying to think of his name. And you mix those people in there, and and so I thought it was going to be these people, these actors witness the murder of Sharon Tate. Like I thought they were actually going to show it on screen, and I guess spoilers. I don't know if anybody. I'm sure people who watch me probably have seen the movie. Um, if I'm sure I wasn't expecting that. Like honestly, going in, like I didn't read anything. I think I watched the trailers. That was it.
Mm.
Like it was the same trailer that they played, but um, I didn't read anything about it going in. That's like when I watched The Gentleman. I didn't know anything about. I don't even think I watched the trailer for that movie. But I really enjoyed that one. It's a Guy Ritchie film. Um,
Yeah.
which he had two movies I think come out this year: The Covenant, and
Mm-hmm.
he had A Great Fortune or something like that.
Oh,
Operation.
the one with Jason Statham.
Yeah, which one with Jason Statham? They're all with Jason Statham,
Yeah,
aside from
good
The
point.
Gentleman, which is
Yeah,
it doesn't have Jason
I
Statham.
I think it's called Operation Fortune.
Yes, I think you're correct. Um, Operation Fortune. I haven't seen that one. I think that one was on Netflix, but that one looked like a fun one too. But some movies I like to try to go in blind. I don't go when I go to the theaters. I don't go to a movie that I know is just going to be awful. Like, I think at one time when I was first starting YouTube, I wanted to go see the Black Christmas
Mm-hmm.
movie that came out like 2020, 2019 around that time,
Yeah,
and I
the
wanted to go
remake.
see it in theaters because I wanted to do a review on it to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad I didn't. And if I'm going to do reviews on the channel, it's I'm not gonna wanting to go in a movie to wanting to shit on it. Like I think the only one that I went there knew that it was gonna be bad. Um, I went to Frozen 2 against my will, so I'm not counting that one. But I went and saw the Forever Purge. This was a couple years ago. I
Yeah.
went and saw the Forever Purge, and I have a review of it on my Letterboxd account. Yeah, that it's a movie that's so preachy,
Mm-hmm.
and people were talking about the movie Nefarious that came out this year with
Mm.
Sean Patrick Flannery, the guy Boondock Saints.
Right.
It talks about how preach because it talks about difficult subjects, abortion and stuff like that, and religion and everything. And this was one of those movies. It's like, you know, talking about immigration, and this was right at the time when the election was going on, and it was just like, oh, this is a movie. It's like white people are bad, and we're going to tell you how bad they are for 2 hours, and we're all the problem, and this country is built on slavery, and you're all bad. And I didn't really. It's not. I don't think I'll own the Purge movies because for that reason, it's like they're so like I don't mind a political thriller, mind
Right.
you, but that movie, it's like you're either one extreme or the other, and all the people that they show that are um, and all the people that they decide to represent people who are on the conservative. I guess if you want to consider them conservative, like they had a guy who was he wearing like covered in neo-Nazi tattoos and stuff like that, and he knew all the sounds the different guns made. And that movie's like, oh, that's an AK-47. Oh, that's a Glock 19, and he's like fucking jizzing in his pants because guns. Americans love guns.
Right.
And I just fucking hated that movie. But I don't go to theater to movies to wanting to hate. Like I try to go to something like I'm gonna spend my money. I guess if I'll appreciate Barbie more if we went and saw Barbie, like I would appreciate that more than you might will. But I go in. I would try to go into it knowing that it's not going to be a total dumpster fire. Um, like that's with TV shows. Like I'm not going to watch a show like Velma. Did
Mhm.
you ever watch that show?
Not going to.
Yeah, everybody. Not even. I don't even think. I don't even think people on the left. I don't even think they like the show. And if they did, they said they liked the show, then they're lying. Um, and they just want to be like, oh, it was made by a woman of color. We have to like this movie. And I'm not. And not saying that people of color can't be funny, and I'm not saying they can't write good stuff and women can't write good stuff. I'm just saying that you take a property like Scooby Doo and you turn it, you make it a raunchy sex comedy. You turn it like American Pie, but with Scooby Doo. It's like what the
Mm.
hell? What is the thought process? But how did this get past HBO Max? And whoever decided to sign off on this needs to be fired. And I hope they don't do a season 2.
Or they've already greenlit a season 2.
I'm gonna burn down the HBO headquarters. I'm gonna go figure out where they are. I'm sure they're in LA somewhere. I'm gonna go find them in LA, and then I'm gonna. You remember Oklahoma City, 1996, the seven, whatever they happened? Yeah, it's gonna be like that. I'm telling you. I'm just saying that's a joke for any of the FBI people watching, listening to this in the future. That's a joke. I would never do anything like that. I I mean, I'm legally allowed to say or supposed to say that's a joke. Okay. Um, but no, that's awful. Um, what are some movies that you went into, like you knew, like if, when you went and saw them, that you knew they were going to be bad, or do you go into stuff like that? You know,
Um, to be honest, that's kind of a tough thing for me to answer, but I may be able to figure it out. You said a movie I went into knowing that it was going to be
like
bad?
you went into a movie and you knew that this is this is not going to be a masterpiece, but it's not going to be entirely great. Or like you knew it was going to be a, you knew that it was not going to be as great. Like I remember when I was younger, before this is way before I got into YouTube or anything like that. I went and saw Yogi Bear.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple years later, I went and we had the DVD and I picked it up and watched it. I'm like, I know this movie's gonna suck, but I'm just gonna enjoy it. And I enjoyed it more knowing how bad it was. It's like Master of Disguise. If you've ever
Right,
seen that
right.
movie,
Yeah, I know it has Dana Carvey in it. Uh, I'm not a fan of Dana Carvey, and I don't like him in Wayne's World. Uh, to me, he's just not funny. Mike Myers is funnier than him.
oh yeah, I mean, Mike Myers has more personality than Dana Carvey,
Way more personality.
and I find it funny how Dana Carvey or Mike Myers and Dana Carvey had a falling out because um, Mike Myers did his Doctor Evil character, but he used Lorne Michaels as like the inspiration for the character.
Right.
And Dana Carvey's like, "Well, I do a better Lorne Michaels," and I'm like, "You guys are both full of it because Kids in the Hall did Lorne Michaels way before they did it for Austin Powers. Like Kids in the Hall was doing that back in like like '97, and they're like, "Well, I do a better Lorne Michaels." It's like Paul or uh, Mike McKinney. I forgot his name. Something McKinney. Kevin McKinney. He's one of the. He's the real tall dude on. He's the real tall dude on Kids in the Hall. It's a comedy group in Canada, created by Lorne Michaels. He does a better um, impression of Lorne Michaels than um, what's his name? Stupid fucking. I forgot his name. Then Dana Carvey. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And the fact that their whole career, their whole friendship ended over that is so dumb. Um,
Hmm.
and then he tried to do it with he tried to redo the same thing that he did with Austin Powers in Master of Disguise, and it kind of fell flat.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine so. Um, to go back to your question about if I've ever seen a movie that I knew was going to be bad going in, I think I found
Going in,
one.
yeah.
I was,
What?
for some reason, I was going through a Friday the 13th phase. I think I'd say 6 or 7 months ago, and I watched the first one first. Then I watched part two, and then I skipped a bunch of them, and I watched Friday the 13th: New Blood. And, and
Right.
I thought the first one was bad. No,
And that one was one that you went in, and it wasn't very good.
I mean it entertained me, but that doesn't mean it was a good movie.
Right.
It, it was just compared to the first two that came out way before that. You would have thought that the New Blood would be a little bit better when it came to the kills and all that stuff, but no, it was terrible.
Unfortunately, a lot of those movies specifically Halloween and I think Freddy, like the Freddy Nightmare on Elm Street movies, they all kind of suffered from the studios. It's like, well, we have the MPAA, and we have to censor a lot of stuff because gore or the whatever, and a lot of them are forced to cut stuff because they might deem it to be too realistic
Hmm.
or whatever, and with the sensibilities of the time, I guess it just didn't sit well with people. And it's funny how nowadays, the stuff that they thought was so bad, nowadays it's incredibly tame compared to what they see in modern horror movies. You know,
Right. Like,
I'm trying to think in that same at that same time would have been the mid '80s. Oh, I think they still had. Actually, I don't know when did the Halloween didn't come out after the first Halloween came out in '78. The one
uh,
after the next one didn't come out till what '88, like 10 years later.
no, no.
When
Halloween
did
2 came out in 81 or 82, I believe. Or maybe 83. I don't know. Hold on a sec.
'81? Okay, I thought it came out. Like, I thought it came out like a full 10 years after that first
Uh-uh.
one because a lot of them came out in the '90s.
Right. Those are all the cheap, crappy ones.
But I'm trying to think which one came out. Yeah. Well, I mean, all I'm trying to that those ones in the middle, like
What?
in between the ones from the early 2000s and that those were all kind of cut down. I think Halloween 5 was the one that got it the worst.
What, like H2O or Resurrection or whatever they're
Yeah, and
called.
in between those movies, from the third one to I think it was Halloween. I think actually, I'm telling you, I think it was Halloween 5 because I think this one had um I think this one had a bunch of recuts, like they cut around a bunch of kills, and they tried to they tried to cut around everything, and it didn't work. They wanted to make it. It's still rated R, but for some reason the MPAA wanted to cut down because I think it's there might have been an actual tragedy that happened at the same time, so they didn't want to
Right.
have these gory movies, and that's what stuff like everybody some studios are forced to change stuff like Cody Leach. I was just watching his collection video again, and he's talking about a TV show that was made in the early 2000s, and they had a concept that happened, or it was a movie, and then 9/11 happened, and they took the concept from that movie that they initially wanted to do, and they
Mhm.
scrapped it because 9/11 happened, and they didn't want to, kind of bring up old wounds, open old wounds with that, and
Yeah.
they took that same plot and they made it to a TV series some years later, and
Okay.
which that happens all the time. I think there are some certain tragedies that happen which causes them to want to change stuff, but with these movies, them them wanting to cut stuff out,
Yeah.
that I think they're like Friday the 13th. I don't know if it was the New Blood. I think
Mhm.
what was the one with the sleeping bag?
Uh,
Was that the New Blood?
what, Jason X?
Like where Jason he picks up the sleeping bag with the guy and he just fucking smashed him against the tree.
I think that's Jason X, right? He's in a simulation.
No, that's Jason X. Well, he does that in Jason X too, but I think it was Jason. It was one of the ones with Kane Hodder. I think it was the Kane Hodder Jason. He picks up the guy in the sleeping bag and he just smashed him against the tree. And apparently he was like going to show him like all covered up and bloody, but then they cut that out and they made it. They decided to change that. So
Right. Uh,
um,
well, I just want to say something real quick. This is a little bit off topic, but do you want to see my criterions?
what?
I said, do you want to see my criterions?
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask me something else, but sure.
No, no.
Let me see your criterions.
Yeah, criterions. Can you see that? Hold on a second. I got a
See,
better idea. Hold on.
I
Well, you
have
can actually.
two.
Hold on. This way you can actually see it.
Oh, oh.
Did you see it?
I'm sorry. I was putting on. I was about to get the ones that I had. I didn't put on. Sure, I didn't quite hear what you catch what you said. I know you
Okay.
said you had the what was it? A Midnight Cowboy and
Uh
Uncut
huh.
Gems, right?
Yeah, yeah. Uncut Gems is right here. Midnight Cowboy is right here. But then I just got two of them. from a buddy on Instagram for free. This, which I know
Yeah.
you haven't seen, I believe, is what you told me. And then this special edition of
Do you
David
have
Cronin.
a
Don't have a
special
what?
edition of what?
A special edition. A special edition of Cronenberg's Videodrome with
Oh,
shit.
yeah. I know Vestron Video. They always get a lot of cool like art for movies and stuff like that. Like I have
Right.
Little Monsters,
Mm-hmm.
and I got the Vestron Video of that and Shivers.
Did you say you have Shivers?
Shivers. It's one about the bugs, the leeches, I think.
Yeah, it's the David Cronenberg movie, right? There's a David Cronenberg movie from the 70s called Shivers, but then there's a James Gunn movie from like 2005 called Slither. And to me, they're pretty much the same thing. Almost. You good?
All right, apartment is a mess. Is it freezing up?
Yeah, it's freezing pretty bad.
Can you hear me now?
Uh,
Shit. So probably I'm
yeah,
using my hotspot.
yeah, I'm having to use my mobile data for this, so.
So I don't know. Yeah.
I kind of thought it would be interesting if I.
Um, but
You're cutting out, like, very badly. But.
sometimes the Wi-Fi bar pops up. The service bar comes up. Is it better now or is it still?
Yeah, it's better now. Um, I kind of wanted to
Okay.
show you the DVDs that I have. Um, just to show that I'm getting there when it comes to the amount I have. So.
Uh-oh. I don't know where he went. I think he left. We'll see if he'll come back in a second. All right, so I think that's going to be the end of it for now. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and yeah, we'll see you in the next episode of the podcast. Bye.